Greetings and citations, everyone, and welcome back to a War Within video. This is regarding the War Within Threads of Destiny, the Animaniac, well, I don't know if it was Animaniac, that's not exactly correct, but it's the stop-motion style, the things that they do for every expansion since Mr. Pandaria. And today we're going to be talking about the Nerubian Queen one that involves good old Xal'atath. Now, this is not a reaction video. I reacted to this while I was away. I got sick, so that's why I sound so weird and gross. I will do my best not to do gross things. If I do gross things, I'll do my best to cut those out. But, yeah, I'm not feeling the best right now, but I'm going to do this anyways because I love making videos. So, we're going to do this in a very different manner, rather than this involving the overall reaction to the cinematic. It's more like us stopping it and talking about it, and me picking it apart and detailing what I wanted to detail. Now, I've only seen this once, so we're going to go ahead and do our best. Honestly, I might, well, nah, I'm not going to rewatch it, but yeah, so we're going to be very much winging it here. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and watch the War Within Threads of Destiny and see what we can talk about, because I do have some things I do want to say about this. So, let's go! Blizzard Entertainment presents, very important. Can't miss that. Yeah, you have the spider.
Slender is the strand that guides our destiny, known only by true sacrifice.
Sacrifice?
In our kingdom of Azj-Kahet, no one understood this sacrifice more than Queen Neferis. My mother.
Your mother, yes.
I saw this when the Black Empire came to conscript us for their last stand at Nya'lotha.
Alright, let's talk about this little detail, because I remember seeing quite a few people very confused about when exactly this took place. Now, Nerubians are descendants of the Akir, and the Akir were, you know, their ancestors, basically. And the Akir, they worked for the Black Empire until the Black Empire fell for the first time. The first time it fell was against the Titans, when the Titans sent their Titan Forge down and they cleared the board of the old gods and their minions. You know, they imprisoned them, they dragged Yogg-saron out by picking him out from the planet, and overall the Akir and the old gods were defeated. Now, where did the Nerubians fall in? The Nerubians, of course, are the descendants of the Akir, like I said, and they moved all the way over to Northrend, where they evolved into Nerubians. And this is something that some people, obviously these are Nerubians that are not in Northrend, these are Nerubians in near Pandaria for some reason. The continent of Khazalgar is still kind of new to me, but I know it's close to Pandaria as far as the map showed on it. So they're more the southern Nerubians rather than the northern Nerubians. We'll go with that. Regardless, they're still Nerubians. And the Nerubian culture kind of just realized that worshipping old gods or gods in general was kind of pointless, and so they stopped doing it. And that is why the Nerubians are just not really loyal to the old gods like Yogg-saron, Y'Shaarj, N'Zoth, etc. And some people were wondering, okay, so where does this fall into the place of the timeline? When and where did the Black Empire ask the Nerubians to join them? If the Black Empire was defeated so long ago, this could not be when the Black Empire was on its last stand, back when it was fighting the Titans. No, this clearly had to have taken place during Battle for Azeroth, when we were confronted by Nya'lotha for the first time as Azerothians, as mortals. And as we know, N'Zoth conscripted the Mantid in his ranks. Notably, I don't remember him recruiting any of the Xal'atath, but I do remember him recruiting the Mantids in Pandaria. And we never really saw him reach any further than that. We didn't see him go to Northrend and recruit the Nerubians in Northrend, probably because their empire is more in a disarray compared to this empire. Yes, this empire is way better off than the Nerubians in Northrend because, of course, the Scourge gobbled them up more in the War of the Spider. So, to put it simply, this scene took place during Battle for Azeroth. This is a Faceless One or a Kathir. I mean, it's a little big for a Kathir, so I don't think it's a Kathir in my personal opinion, but they look the same. I mean, it's a cool design for a Faceless One, for starters. I would love to see more Faceless Ones in robes and looking like this, because this guy just looks cooler. But this is clearly an envoy of Nya'lotha, trying to recruit Nerubians to join the Black Empire in their last stand, before, of course, it is destroyed by Azeroth and the champions of Azeroth and blah blah blah, Rathian, etc. So this scene takes place within Battle for Azeroth as far as I am aware. Could be wrong, could be right, but that's something I really wanted to detail and talk about because I remember seeing a lot of discourse talking about this, people going, oh, this must have taken place at the start or the end of the Black Empire, but for the first time. But no, this had to have taken place when Nya'lotha had just broken free, and he was like, hey, let me get you guys to join me. Didn't work out, because the Nerubians are like, no, we're not about that life. Which is, I like that they kept that going, because the whole Nerubians joining the Old Gods thing is a very divisive bit of lore for their culture. So, yeah, just wanted to detail that.
My mother refused them.
For this treachery, your line will sever itself. This kingdom will wither with the waning of your worth.
Her strength defined us that day. And in that moment, we felt destined for greatness. But in the years that followed, our greatness was tarnished. Look at them out there. Wretched, starving.
I am not immune to our people's suffering. I believe better days will come.
Not if you keep failing to seize the moment. What was the point of you freeing our future, only to leave us buried in the past?
You comprehend so little. There is much for you to learn before you can be queen.
Mother! Mother!
Okay, so notably, you know, this is my second time watching, but it would seem that the Faceless One or the Old Gods almost gave them a sort of curse, it seems like, or a prophetic curse, more like it, because it's not as if the Old Gods are incapable of seeing the future, because they can see the future. They can see all possibilities, they just can't figure out which one it is. I do think Nya'lotha has the advantage of figuring out which one that is, but we'll go into that a little bit more in the part that is very vital in what I really want to talk about for this one. But it would seem that the Nerubians aren't doing so hot in the aftermath of defying the Old Gods. Now, I don't know the exact details of what that means, why their empire is failing, why they're not doing so great. It could be the residents nearby, the Earthen and the Arathi empire that's close by. Could be them that is basically dismantling them and making them not do so great, or could very well be an illness that the Old Gods were able to project onto some of the Nerubians, maybe. It's not above Old Gods, especially like Gahun, Nya'lotha, Yogg-saron, Y'Shaarj. I don't think Cthulhu really did anything, if I'm being honest. That results in a plague, you know. The Old Gods very much do have that effect or ability to you know, weaken a race. You know, the original races were corrupted and basically destroyed by the curse of flesh. Now, there were advantages, of course, but the overall view when we bested the old gods, or not bested the old gods, the overall view from the Titans' perspective is we got weaker. You know, we got emotions, our flesh became fleshy from going from stone, so it's very much a disadvantage from the Titans' perspective. So I'm just saying that basically the old gods are capable of giving a curse. Now again, haven't played War Within's beta or alpha, maybe there's more details regarding why the Nerubians aren't doing so great, but it would seem from that moment onward they weren't doing so hot. They thought that they were going to be hot shit, but doesn't seem that way. So let us continue. Oh, and I mean, we can detail it a little bit, but the queen talking to the princess, God, I don't know the names, I'm sorry. But it would seem that the queen is far more aware of the troubles of her kingdom and what's going on here than the princess really realizes. Because the princess is like, you need to seize the moment, you need to do something, and the queen's like, I know, you don't know what you're talking about. So the queen knows something, which is, I'm curious. Seems to always lag when I pause it. You have this very distinctive and interesting mural of, and we have seen this full mural in game already, and as far as I recall, it depicts the Faceless Ones and the Nerubians together. Maybe it might have been the Akir, honestly. I think this might be a mural from days of past when the Akir were still a thing, but it's a mural that depicts an old god, and it is reaching up for a crystal, a dark crystal, and many of us suspect that it's the same crystal that the Arathi are kind of protectors of. It's the crystal that changes from void to light, light to void. And I think that it is it's very intentional to have such a crystal be coveted and wanted by this old god. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Some people believe that this fifth old god here, depicted here, is Xal'atath. Could be. I'm not saying it isn't, but, and I don't know how accurate this is either, but this is the one thing I do know about the alpha and beta, so spoilers, that Illyria does say that Xal'atath is not an old god, but something else, something from a time long past. Now, I don't know what that means, but I made a video about it, I speculated on it, and I personally think that Xal'atath is a new entity altogether, or potentially even like the first mortal to ever, you know, join with the Void. She could have been an ethereal, she could have been something else, I don't know. Right now, Xal'atath's identity at this time is a mystery, but she very well could be an old god still, and they're just throwing us for a loop, and Illyria is just wrong because Illyria doesn't know the full details. One thing that I've noticed over the years with Warcraft is they very much like to play with the, you know, the narrator doesn't know everything. The person that's saying something doesn't know everything, so it leaves us in a place where we're kind of like, I don't know what's going on here, it could be anything. So we probably cannot trust everything that we hear from even Xal'atath and Illyria. I personally view Xal'atath as a very unreliable narrator herself, but yeah, we'll just go ahead and see what more it has to say. The reason why some people believe that Xal'atath is this old god is what happens here, so. Time itself freezes.
Are you seeing this?
You have heard my voice in your dreams.
There she is.
Great queen.
The Harbinger.
Yes, of the empire that was.
So let's, before we get into this, hopefully I'll be able to grab the visuals here that I want, because these visuals go by very quickly. So, Xal'atath appears from this crystal through a portal, and that is why many people believe that the crystal has such value to Xal'atath, that she's going to use it for something. Personally, I think that she'll use it to bring in Dimensius, maybe, or something far more terrifying, more old gods, more, you know, void entities to come through said crystal. Or she'll use the crystal to devour Azeroth. Either or. But the crystal seems to have some value to her if she's popping out of it like this. And she quotes that the Nerubians have seen her in their dreams. Because of how prophetic the Nerubians and the old gods and the void typically is, it's very likely and possible that the Nerubians for a long time have known of Xal'atath and the Harbinger. Clearly, they depict her as she is currently in her Void Elf body. Again, as we've detailed before, Xal'atath's original form is not this particular form. It's something else, and we don't know what that is, but her, you know, her original form was contained within the dagger, which is right here. I am very curious to see why the dagger is even here, because it went far away it might have been destroyed, but the dagger has been MIA for a while, since the Black Empire fell, and, you know, one of my old theories, and a popular theory among everyone, really, it's not even my own theory, but it's a very well-known theory within the community, and that was that the Blade of the Black Empire currently houses N'Zoth. It's a very popular theory, and it's very, very likely to be the case, in my own opinion, but at the same time, they might just have destroyed the Blade of the Black Empire altogether, and that N'Zoth is quote-unquote dead. But we'll talk about that also really quickly.
The Harbinger.
Yes, of the empire that was. But the old gods are dead.
Okay. And I'm going to talk about this now. So, as was typical of everyone, when this was shown, we see a very distinctive visual of the Black Empire melting away. N'Zoth is not looking so great. And it is very likely and very, you know, has been something that everyone has kind of been debated on since it happened. When the whole thing in Nya'lotha happened. In Nya'lotha, one thing that we really don't talk about too much is that what we see in Nya'lotha is, it can be, you know, taken wrong, basically. You know, you can have a moment where Rathian is depicted as an heir of Deathwing, you know, fulfilling his legacy as the Destroyer, as the Black Emperor, I believe is what he was called, you know, joining with the old gods and all that, and no, it was actually a faceless one, and Rathian was actually quite saddened that we actually believed that Rathian betrayed us. Again, that's just an example of what the place in Nya'lotha can do. So some people were like, oh, well, maybe N'Zoth wanted us to believe that he was dead. But I do believe that the whole moment of N'Zoth being dissolved by a super powerful laser is the case. Now, two things that I want to talk about here, which we already kind of talked about, was the Blade of the Black Empire, you know, storing N'Zoth's essence in there and him being able to live on in a way after his physical body was destroyed. Some people are wondering why he would do that. Personally, I think it works out in two ways. One, the reason why he would do it is so that he can move around better, because the Blade of the Black Empire can do that. The Blade of the Black Empire is not really a proper prison. It's still capable of influencing others, as Xal'atath has done for years. It can blip out, it can leave, it can go anywhere. It's like a ghost dagger, really. It's not really a prison. I mean, it is a prison. It clearly weakens, I think, Xal'atath in some shape and form, and in this case it would weaken N'Zoth, but I also think it's it's kind of like a get out of jail card for N'Zoth. The other thing that I wanted to talk about purposely was people going, oh, well, the old gods are dead. They're dead for good. This is Xal'atath telling us the old gods are not coming back. They're gone for good. Now, a while ago, we were outright told from a tweet by Christy Golden that when old gods die, they get sent to their own form of the Twisting Nether. When demons die, they go to the Twisting Nether, they regenerate, and they come back. Old gods have that too, Titans have that too. It would seem all the cosmic forces have that. Even people, you know, who are alive, they go to the Shadowlands. They return there, but, you know, if they die in the Shadowlands, they're dead for good. It's just like, with the demons. So, even though N'Zoth is physically dead at this time, he can come back. It's World of Warcraft. I really want to detail that and hammer that in too, but when a character dies in Warcraft, they can come back. Unless it's like outright stated that they are dead for good, which here it just says that they are dead. I don't think that this is a moment of Xal'atath going, oh yeah, the old gods are dead for good. I think this is just her trying to get the Nerubians on her side, to try and distinguish her from her dead siblings, you know, by detailing that, hey, the Black Empire is no more, it's dead, this is a new age, and I want you a part of it. I think it's her trying to spin the words together to get the Nerubians to join her in their own way, because if you know, you go like, oh, hey, let's reestablish the Black Empire, let's bring back the old gods, I think that's going to make the Nerubians not want to join. So I think this is more Xal'atath trying to pitch her whole cult, her whole deal to the Queen. And obviously, it doesn't work regardless.
The Empire lies in ashes, and a shadow has fallen on your kingdom. But the blood of the old gods can make your people powerful again. Your reign could last for eternity. All you have to do is take my hand.
Alright, so let's talk about this little blip now. So, the blood of the old gods has always been a very powerful essence in Warcraft's lore. Yogg-saron's blood, Saronite, was so powerful that it could basically take on any cosmic energy force or whatever and almost repel it. It's one of the most strongest materials and armor within the Warcraft lore. It's why the Death Knights wore it, it's why the Scourge wore it, we even wore bits and pieces of it that were purified by the light. So of course, you know, using the old god's blood to mutate yourself and grow stronger, it makes sense. It's one of the things that I think they detailed when Xal'atath was first told to be returning, that she was going to be using the old god's blood for her own purpose. Now it seems that purpose right now is to corrupt and mutate the Nerubians to appear more humanoid and appear more powerful. Now, I don't know the exact details on why old god blood makes Nerubians look more humanoid. I really don't. I think that's just an artistic choice. In my own opinion, they should look far more corrupted, far more old god-ish. You know, when Garrosh took on the old god blood, when Thrall and Rexxar took on the old god blood in the horrific visions, they didn't appear more humanoid, they appeared more monstrous, had more eyeballs, you know, more spikiness. Like, I think that was maybe a mistake on their part on making them appear more humanoid. I think the whole humanoid bit might just be so that they can animate them better or make them less scary for people who have arachnophobia, or maybe it's just a way for them to make them playable at some point. But regardless, it's a weird choice. I personally think it's one of the biggest downgrades for the Nerubians. I think the Nerubians look way cooler how they are depicted here, but apples to oranges. I'm sure some people like them, but Yeah, and here we also have Xal'atath pulling one of N'Zoth's own cards, or rather her own cards too. Xal'atath is very much a fan of... It's kind of funny how similar Xal'atath and N'Zoth really are, which I wonder if that's why they were so agreeable with one another when she was first freed by him from the Blade of the Black Empire. But... Sorry, I'm getting my thoughts together. But she likes to make deals with mortals. She likes to work with mortals a lot, and you know, it's one of those things where I figured she was going to stop doing after she was freed, but it seems she hasn't really gotten over that. It seems that she really likes to meander and work with mortals and corrupt them and get her to join them on her side, because she's done so with the queen, or rather the would-be queen soon, the princess, rather. Spoilers. Yeah, I already seen the video. I know what happens. And she also does it with Iridikron. Of course, Iridikron seems to be far more distant with his dealings with her. He seems far more clever, far more smart, and far more aware that she is not his friend. And that's smart because he knows what happens to Deathwing. So he knows what happens if you kind of, you know, stay on the path of the void. I think Iridikron is aware that Xal'atath is a nasty do-gooder, or the opposite of that, whatever. Anyways, yeah, so she wants to, you know, make a deal, and you know how N'Zoth likes deals, and she likes deals, and Bwonsamdi likes deals, so it's very interesting how we have that sort of detail here.
Your words are tempting, but the cost is too great. I would never risk my kingdom for such power.
Based.
Mother, who are you talking to?
Oh, ghosts, dearest. As always, they are my ready counsel.
I'm not sorry for what I said. I only want our people to be great once more.
Greatness is fleeting. What we must do now is endure. Your time will come, child, but only
I like her.
when you are ready. What have you done?
You're not the only one seeing ghosts, Mother.
How sad to have a queen so wise, and yet so ignorant to the call of destiny.
You. Her name is Xal'atath. You had your chance, Mother. With this power,
What a downgrade.
is unbound. We will rise. We will conquer. And together, we will finally claim our destiny.
Long live Queen Azrak.
Alright. So, Mother has been betrayed by the daughter. Excuse me. Yeah. And that wasn't exactly a surprise, I'd say. Maybe just because we kind of were already aware of who the queen was and what was going on because of BlizzCon, but I very much preferred the old queen over the new queen, but hey. It is very notably and very interesting that she uses the words "we are now unbound" when it's quite the opposite. She is very much bound to Xal'atath. She is, you know, tied to her now. It's very much not what her mom and her people want. It is really going against the grain of what Nerubians usually stand for, which is not being subservient to a god. And Xal'atath is very much a god to them now, and I think that Xal'atath is probably making it appear like, oh no, we're working together, we're not I'm not making you do this. You're my buddy. You're my compliant little pal, and we're gonna make your empire great again. When in reality, they're doing what Xal'atath wants. They're doing the will of the Void, the will of Dementius, the will of Xal'atath, and potentially the old god's rebirth or something else. But that is what I really wanted to detail in this video, mostly just taking it apart and being like, hey, here's what this is, hey, here's what that is, and going from there. Yeah, I very much don't think that this is the end of the old gods. I don't think Nya'lotha is completely dealt with. I think he might reappear. Oh, I didn't even get to talk about that, so let's talk about that very briefly. As you guys are aware, I did a video a while ago talking about Nya'lotha being aware of his future. A while ago, the start of Dragonflight, you and Eternius and Chromie go through a whole, like, time travel, fun business, wild goose chase, and you stumble on the Black Empire when it was just starting. And Nya'lotha whispers to you, he's aware of you, he's probing your mind, and in my own opinion, I think Nya'lotha was able to figure out, oh, that's what happens to me. That's what my fate is. That's what you do to me. And that is why I believe the whole stage of him taking and claiming the Blade of the Black Empire as his scapegoat was done. So I think that the whole point of that whole little quest line there was a way to give Nya'lotha a out, or a window out, or at least plan for his fall. Again, could be wrong. I think that something will come of it, but we shall see. Again, either way, I don't think the old gods are completely dealt with, because they return to the void when they die. Their physical bodies may be dead, but that doesn't stop them from coming back in another form, in another way, as has been shown with old gods like Yogg-saron. When Yogg-saron died, he left out a very powerful breath that spawned the Shah, and the Shah of course existed up until his heart was completely destroyed. As long as there is some form of piece of them left, I believe the old gods can come back. And I definitely believe Nya'lotha is not totally gone himself. I think that we have seen his fall, we have seen his failure, but we have not seen his total end. But I think that's what all I had to really say about this. Good visuals as always. I love reacting to these. Obviously this wasn't a reaction, but excuse me, I really very much enjoy watching and reacting to, you know, analyzing and saying what I have to say about this at the start of every expansion. If you guys want to see more from me, obviously like, subscribe, go on from there. But until next time, see you guys in the next video, which might be that very interesting looking second war between the elves and the Amani and the Horde. I'm very interested in that one. I think that might just be Illyria's little warbringer, or whatever, you know, they're calling these ones for War Within, but I'm very excited. But yeah, until next time, my friends,